Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. Director Guy Retallack's glorious new production of Andrew Lippa and Tom Greenwald's beloved musical John and Jen, which stars Rachel Tucker and Louis Cornet, is streaming on Broadway HD, the world's leading digital service for the theater. And please say hello to my guests, married couple Rachel Tucker and Guy Retallack. Now, let's talk about Guy Band Rachel.
You got us. You got us. We joined a band.
I love this. First of all, how are the two of you?
They're very well, thank you. It's great. We're loving being in New York City.
New York, yes. New York has welcomed us wonderfully. It's turned mighty cold. God, you guys can get cold proper over here, right? You do it really well. So we're snuggled up here in our lovely new apartment, and life is okay.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, I love this. I didn't realize you were here. I said, oh, they're probably still.
Oh, yeah, no. We really are actually here. We're not just saying it.
We're living here.
Okay, so when did you arrive here? When did you get your new apartment?
So it was. I arrived September to rehearse for Come From Away on Broadway, which is happening, and Broadway's back. And Guy and Ben, our 8-year-old son, arrived September.
That's right. Yeah.
So
I love this. Okay, so have you been able, the both of you, to put some kind of perspective on the past 2 years?
I mean, it seems a crazy time to be coming over here. Yeah. We keep thinking it's all finished and done and we're moving on. And then, we then get a new wave kind of thing. So, yes, I suppose. I mean, we've dealt with it pretty well, really. I mean, we've done so much of this stuff.
Yeah, online.
We managed to work kind of quite well through it. But obviously, it's been devastating
I think,
the whole industry. And it continues to be, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that theatre is happening at the moment, is great. So I think we have got to move on and live with it as best we can. But I mean, it's been a crazy last 2 years, really has been.
And we just managed to do this production, just to slip in, sort of just between waves, really. Yeah. It feels like, and I think it was pretty, it was a struggle, definitely, but we kind of won through in London for a bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did being together as a couple, because my husband and I are the same thing, we were hunkered down here for 2 years. I would set up my background, I would do interviews, and then I'd cook 3 meals a day. We watch a movie, and it made it a little easier for us. Did it make it a little easier for you two, and your son being hunkered together?
Richard, I'm so glad you said that, because you feel a guilt almost by saying it. There was an ease to our life, wasn't it?
Definitely.
That we really found worked for us and we loved, and I'm sure, like you and many people, it made life easier just having to stay at home. The forced, home imprisonment was we got a lot from, and being able to do lots of this online stuff, and we appreciated it and did what we could within the perimeters of what we.
I think you just found a whole different, I think there are certain cities in the world where they have they live a slow lifestyle, and you suddenly found yourself kind of like thinking and linking into all that stuff, and suddenly making the most of what it is to be together rather than killing each other, which of course was an option sometimes, but really not. I mean, we really. I think we were very, very lucky. We're a great team, actually.
Yeah.
So that was a saving grace for Preston and I. We love being together. I mean, we lived for 21 years in a studio apartment on the Upper West Side and didn't kill each other then. We have a much bigger space now, but we love being together. And I know you guys do too.
Yeah. And obviously, I don't think we'd have managed to get through rehearsal together if we didn't. We were reminiscing the other day, just saying in John and Jen, did we have any? And there was one moment when I had to sort of say, now, who, what did I say? I can't remember what I said. Who do you think you are?
No, Rachel, it's not all about you.
It's not all about you. I said it's all about you and him. But no, we kind of rub along pretty well, actually, most of the time.
Well, we have to talk about John and Jen. This filmed version of your production is absolutely glorious.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
How excited are the two of you?
I'm so beyond thrilled. It was it was a real joy. We were so lucky to get Austin from Stage to View, who directed the film version of it. But yeah, it just felt such an incredible privilege to have 5 or 6 cameras in there, and the amount of time they spent on it to really sort of bring it to life. It was amazing.
I mean, again, it's another thing that probably wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the pandemic. You know, we wouldn't have thought of capturing this because we wanted to get it out there to a wider audience, and we had the opportunity, and Austin loved it and took it on.
Yeah, I think it's that thing as well, as that you forget, but that with the recording as it is, and I know it from the ones that we've seen, been lucky enough to see in London, is you see something you don't otherwise see. You know, that's the added advantage of the live, of that sort of inverted commas live experience. But you do get it really up close. You know, every flicker, every thought going through the actor's head, assuming there are thoughts going on in the actor's head. You know, I'm joking, but you really see it, and it's fantastic. That's so exciting. You know, and you can see the benefit of having somebody like Austin who really understands the way the editor works. You know, how to make that moment link into that moment. And you know, I worked. You know, I was an assistant, but I worked closely to sort of support that. Yeah, it was a brilliant experience.
Rachel, talk about sharing the stage with Lewis. Did I say his last name
right? That's right. Lewis is a little star, he's not a little bit about him. He honestly was such a find when Guy and I auditioned.
Because we cast it all together with the producers as well. You know, we were all there all the way through.
Yeah, the rehearsal or audition process, and we just couldn't believe when he walked in. We were like, well, obviously that's him. He's so good, and he is very funny, and in his own right, a brilliant artist. He writes and creates his own shows and music. He's a very, very talented young man, and we really miss him. And we're hoping that
we're hoping
we've got a little John and Jen concert up our sleeve for the middle of this new year, is what we're hoping. So
with a bit of luck over this in the Big Apple.
So we may be reunited live and here in New York. So that's on the cards.
Well, you know, it's such a beautiful two-hander. I mean, Guy, what was it like? First of all, what was it like working together, the two of you? Had you done this before?
Yeah, no, because we've done it. I mean, we've done it for so many years together, and
we met during.
Yeah, I cast her in Tommy for Bill Kenwright, a producer in the UK. Who really we have to thank him for bringing us together. But I remember we saw 365 people over 3 days. Ridiculous. I mean, I've never done an audition process like it. I'd never auditioned anyone for a musical before. So it was every 3 minutes, and I got, you know, river deep, mountain high. If I could have to hear that again, it was killing me. And then this girl came in with a blonde mullet that looked like a helmet and started singing this song, and I suddenly went, oh, that's how it's meant to be sung. And I just said, I just got to have, and I remember coming away from that audition process going, I've got to have this girl because she's fantastic. I don't care about anything else. I've got to have her in the show. So, and then it was only then later on I kind of went, actually, she's very nice as well.
So we worked together in Tommy, and then all through the years, Richard Guy has directed my one-woman shows and cabarets and concerts, and we bat off each other so brilliantly, and I'm able to ideas and back and forth, and don't say this, you know, say it more like this, and involve, you know. So it's a brilliant. Again, we love working together.
And it's not always. I think people always think that the person with the other half thinks they're great, but it's not true, because you know, I've had other halves in the past, and I know that who have been actors, and I don't always think it, but we do kind of definitely have a very similar taste. And a kind of take on things. So I definitely think that we riff off each other very well. And she's, you know, she's not only a great instinctive actor, but she's got a really good intellectual grasp of how the whole thing works, that's great to have that. You know, it makes the whole process of rehearsing enjoyable.
So when did you realize it was more than just like, oh, actress and director? It's like, wait a minute, we can start dating.
Dating. It was a couple of weeks into rehearsals, and we were at a pub after the rehearsals on a Saturday night, and we were sitting around a table.
She tried to kiss me.
I did not. And then I noticed Guy, you know, there was a bit of kind of chemistry, definitely. I saw guys slowly kind of coming round the table, sitting, changing seats, moving one up, getting closer and closer. And then he got to me, and we were all night chatting and drinking. And I actually, it got to the point maybe like 3 or 4 weeks later, I had to ask him to kiss me. He wouldn't kiss me.
But it was very, I mean, I was a little bit older than her. Not that you can tell,
Just
of course.
a little bit.
But I just, no, I just remember thinking, and what's funny is that when I think back to it, it felt like it went on forever. But in fact, it was probably only 3 or 4 weeks between kind of meeting and really kind of going, would you like to go out on a date kind of thing. But it was very, I mean, I think it was very organic. I just remember kept on thinking, I looked across in the rehearsal room. We had Pete Townsend in the rehearsal room sometimes. We had Robbie Williams pop by, all these famous people. And I just remember looking at this girl just going, who is she? That was what I thought. I didn't know what that meant, but I just meant, she intrigued me. And we then kind of nattered and chatted, and it was, it was great.
And here we are, 15 years later.
16 years later.
Sorry.
No, but it flies by the day. I think that's really great. But I love it. You're such a wonderful team working together. I just think, because back to John and Jen, this is such an emotional, it's such a beautiful piece. And I was wondering, like, when were you both first aware of John and Jen? Like, when did you first fall in love with the musical to say, let's do this?
Not until the show itself. And I say the show itself. I mean, I was asked to come along. I met these two producers who I knew a little bit from before, and they came along and sent it to me, and I started listening to it. And obviously, I've done quite a few small scale musicals, so I know the kind of the world of it. And I have to say, genuinely, I think Andrew's music is tremendous. I mean, I really, and I think, you know, the book as well is superb, but I really love the music. I really thought this is really properly complex, that develops with the show, responds to what's going on emotionally and narratively in such an intelligent way. And so I found it pretty instant, actually. And one of those lovely experiences where you listen to one song and then another, and you just go, actually, I like all of this. I really, I love it. I think it's, and luckily we had a fantastic producing team in Leon and Michael, who just was so dedicated to bringing as big a band as we could possibly have for the recording as well as for the actual show. So they really brought so much complexity to what could be a very small show.
They could have made it nice and tight and small, but they didn't. We went as far. Well, Richard, wasn't I wasn't the first pick by my husband.
No, there was another Rachel, another fantastic Rachel.
See how it works.
See how it works,
called Rachel Wooding, who's an amazing actress who is in London, who I adore. And but then she was in
Pretty Woman.
And so the whole pandemic, you know, backwards and forwards, when's it going to happen? She then couldn't do it because she was committed to Pretty Woman. And I kind of went, shall I? Don't think, would you be? And I thought, can I ask my starry wife, possibly, whether she might come to this rather small off West End venue and do this great show? And she went, yeah, I'd love to. So it was, you know, it was obviously meant to be.
I had literally like maybe a 6 window before starting Come From Away, and I'd just been filming a TV thing, and I was like, let's do it.
And we had to say no holiday this year. This is going to be our holiday in Southwok in London in a small studio.
And our poor son was packed off to Belfast, Northern Ireland, to my sisters and my dad's for a week so that we could get it. The show he
helped. Our son helped. He was in the promo film that we made in
I love that. Anybody watching this, they should just Google the promo film for John and Jen. I was like, oh my god, that's their son.
Right.
That's him doing his acting debut.
So you didn't know the show either, Rachel, did you?
I did not know the show at all. And again, for the audition material that I learned and did, I was like, God, this is the closest. I remember thinking, this is the closest thing to the big singing that Wicked offers.
Yeah.
I was like this is stretching me in that realm, and if not more, and this was before Wicked. This was written before Wicked.
Yeah.
So I remember
30 years ago this was written, right?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. It doesn't feel like
it. Doesn't.
Well, that was the thing. I got onto it very quickly with I say very quickly, but whenever you read something for the first time as an actor or as a director, you go, why now? Why am I going to do this? I immediately I kind of went, there was a point where I just suddenly went, this feels like it's about now, because the principal driving central drama of division between a close family feels like it's about what's going on in America at the moment. So both as a sort of political metaphor, but also as a personal reflection, it just seemed to capture the zeitgeist, I thought. So why not make it about, I know Vietnam and obviously the Middle East are very different, but they're not, because it's about personal experience and what happens as a consequence of that, then it doesn't seem to me relevant that we should make it updated. And Andrew and Tom, after some convincing and discussion, who were brilliant to work with, I have to say, all the way through, were so
up for it.
So it suddenly it felt such a relevant piece, I think.
So by bringing it forward to what, the Iraq War?
That's basically So it now starts, instead of in the 60s, it starts in the 80s and finishes basically now.
See, I've seen so many incredible productions of this, and I was like, wow. When I watched this 3 times already, just so you know.
Wow.
And I just love, so like, this is the first world premiere of this updated production, which I think is wonderful. So just talk about the collaboration with Andrew and Tom, Guy, with the suggestions you wanted to make with them. How
that was great. I mean, I'd only met, everything was virtual. We've now met them in the flesh, and they are exactly the same as they were. But they were, and you know, Andrew's kind of quite, you know, he's quite cool and very sharp, very quick. And I was very nervous actually of saying this, and we did a reading of it, and then I came back with, you know, as you do, sort of, I suppose 3 or 4 pages of notes online, and sent that to them, and then we chatted about it, and there was lots of lots of that sort of discussion. They then took it away and then came back and said, yes, we'd like to give that a go. And then once we did that as well, then, you know, with the actors in rehearsal as well, we kept on with that in mind. I mean, you know, it's
fine tuning it.
It's such a personal story, but it has such a kind of macro picture at the same time. So that's what we kept on trying to be aware of, I suppose.
Well, you accomplished so much with this because, like you said, you filmed this during the pandemic. It was at the Southwark Playhouse, right?
Southwark.
Oh, see, that's why I should just let you say. Where did you
no. I always do. I've for years done exactly what you said, which is it Southwark or Southwark? Southwark. It's Southwark. I it's Southwark. You know,
Retallack or Retallack.
So where did you film it?
In the theatre, in the Southwark. So we stopped. We didn't do a show for a day and a half, and they took the seating bank out. It was a very small theatre. What's the space?
120 seats.
120 seater. They took the seating bank out. They used the banks for the dollies, isn't that what they're called? For the cameras. And this was a proper setup. I couldn't quite believe what the scale this was on. 5 camera shot, and
it was like walking into a sort of
film
TV
set.
studio, film set.
It was really fabulous to know that we were in such mighty hands, you know, and we give it our all that day, and we were knackered. You know, we'd been doing 8 shows a week, Lewis and I, and we had to run it. I think they recorded it twice. So
it's a tremendously exhausting show to do. I mean, and also, I mean, in the Southwark, they were. I mean, I sat in the front row a couple of times, and they were literally inches away. So that's it's an enormous show. I mean, it's a funny show, isn't it? Such a combination of being both this tiny intimate piece, but also massive at the same time. It's got a kind of epic, but micro epic is the word I would use.
So you shot how many days?
We did it over. I suppose we did it over a 2 or 3 day period, but it felt like it was a long period, and I think we did 1 pickup or something. So, but it was intense. It was from early morning through to the evening, you know,
like 2 days and then a couple pickups.
I mean, compared to a film, it's nothing, but it felt relatively speaking, luxurious in a sense to be able to capture this, 45-minute each half, to do that.
It's flawless, like you said. The camera work, like I said, it's so theatrical, yet it's cinematic all at the same time. And having seen this show many times, what you get to see on the film version are all these little details that you might have missed of just sitting in a house watching it.
Yeah, absolutely,
right.
absolutely.
I mean, all the Christmas stuff, all the little details. I mean, Austin did such a beautiful job.
Yeah, he did a great job. Really, really good. I mean, I think he watched it I think he watched it 3 times.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to say that, but I think he watched it. He certainly watched it more than once in order to kind of be aware of actually what was involved.
Oh yeah, in the theater, right?
That's what I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, no, the reason why I said where did you film it is I still can't pronounce the name of it, so I'm just glad that you two can. So I'll play this back afterwards. It must be really thrilling that this is now Broadway HD is the leading, you know, digital streaming service for everything theater. All someone has to do is purchase a ticket, or or join Broadway HD, and they can watch this anywhere in the world at any time of the day in the safety of their own home or wherever they want to watch it. And it's just reaching such a broader audience. It must make so thrilling for the two of you to know that this is now out there for anybody in the world to watch who loves it.
And forever, more or less.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's for me as an actress to be able to capture this and look back on it and have it like as part of a show reel to pass on to cast and direct. It's all there for Guy. It's an incredible tool and
opportunity. I mean, it's one of the benefits I think that probably the circumstances of the world has pushed on us. That the streaming of theatre, which obviously was happening before, but really has come to the fore, has meant I never had. I mean, I've got dozens of shows I've done over my life,
never
but
captured.
I've got to record a good recording, not one you want to show anyone. And this is fantastic. It's really I'm so
thank you, Broadway.
So proud of it, and so proud of them for.
Oh, they're the best. I mean, Bonnie and Stuart, they are the absolute best. I mean, I just went to the website last night. For anybody watching, Broadway HD is the best. Just go there. You can watch so much stuff from the golden days of Broadway to up until like yesterday. And of course, with this and everything else. I mean, we have to give a big shout out to your producers again, which I think it's Brave Productions and Stage 2 View Productions. And of course, Broadway HD. I mean, just really beautiful, beautiful job.
Yeah.
Andrew Lippa and Tom loved this show. I was reading their quotes about watching this. I mean, because they've seen so many productions of this. That must make you feel so great because, I mean, I know, Rachel, what they said about you and Lewis about being, incredible singers, actors. I mean, this beautiful combination of both of them. And Guy, the way you captured this thing and directed it so beautifully. I mean, that must make you feel so great.
We couldn't believe, we were so on tenterhooks, like wondering what
are they going to make of it.
And they just we couldn't believe their reaction, which was just a gift. And they're like, "Yep, go ahead, record it. It's brilliant." They were just so happy.
And I think we were so. I mean, they're just very full of integrity and. I mean, but it absolutely makes me so proud that they liked it as much as they did. It really, really matters. And, and I know from the audiences that people have been so affected by the show, that everybody somehow has an understanding of the relationships, that there's something for everyone in any family to get from this. Which is why I think it, on a personal level, it resonates so well with people.
Because 30 years ago they wrote this. It's so timely. They could have written this yesterday. I mean, is it the family dynamic? Is it the brother and sister thing? Is it the mother and son? Is it that whole family dynamic? I mean, why is it so timely?
I think it is the family connection, because I mean, even if you are an only child, you would like to, your mother's still around, or you can feel that connection, and or just cousins, or it is for me it's the family, and we very much honed in on that. During rehearsals we were like, we have got to be so believable as brother and sister, but or else no one's going to buy this. And it was easy with Lewis and I. We had such a laugh. We made each other laugh so much, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that came so easy and natural. And then, of course, me being a mother to an 8-year-old boy, I was able just to tap into that instantly, and in the second half. And I tapped into losing my mother 8 years ago, just as my son was being born. And when we don't want to give it away, but just before intermission, something not so lovely happens, and it's just tapping into all those emotions. It was hard for me not to emote and cry every single show.
It's so beautiful because, like I said, it's a film and a theater piece all at the same time, and this is what the pandemic has shown a positive side of, is that you're now introducing this beautiful musical, John and Jen, to a whole new generation who might not have been able to see it at the theater. And now they can say, oh my gosh, I love this show. And now I'm obsessed about this concert that may be happening here.
Yeah. Oh, and I think that the other thing we should say is that the album, I hope, will be coming out from the show with Rachel and Lewis. So, I mean, I hope I'm saying out of turn by saying that. I'm pretty sure that
of course
is
you're not, because so many people, there's millions of Broadway World fans listening to this.
Yeah.
But this
No,
is
it is.
fabulous, though.
It's
Yeah.
the third.
Recorded
It's
the
the
show.
third album of this. Yeah, we recorded it. So, and Andrew said when we met him, he was like, "It's my only show that I've had 3 albums," and he couldn't be more proud. You know, he loves the different incarnations of his work and hearing it sung and acted differently. You know, so it's.
And this will be unique as well, because there's some song changes. You know, not song changes, but there are some new bits to this show that there's never been in a show before. So it's, you know, for any John and Jen fans or Andrew Lipper fans, there's something
New.
you know, unique as well to find within it. It's
there's a lot of John and Jen fans. Like I said, so many people, and so many people love doing this show because it's such a compact little show, or just to sing his score is so beautiful.
It is absolutely.
So Rachel, you're back on Broadway now, right?
I'm back on Broadway. We opened in September, and you know what, to reopen Broadway, like, you know, was incredible, just incredible. And the cast and crew and the producers, and we're all really, you know, obviously COVID has hit the cast. We had to close over Christmas and New Year, on and off. But I think we are through the worst of it now, Richard. I really hope we are, touch wood. And like most of Broadway, I hopefully this wave is been and gone, and you know, we're kind of stronger herd immunity for it now, you know. So but the show's thicker and tighter and stronger than ever, and it's a perfect time for this show, you know. It's and anybody out there who loves theater, come and support us. We need you, especially January and February. You know, this is the time we need bums on seats. So
what do you remember about that first performance back on stage again in September in Come From Away? What was that first night like?
We couldn't start. There was at least a minute and 15 seconds where we had to, the audience stood and clapped, and we had to just clap them back and say thank you, and we cried before we even started singing. and then at the end of the show, they didn't leave. We had to come back on again for another encore, and they just didn't want to leave the theater. They were so happy and proud that we were back and opening, like I'm sure every show across Broadway.
Yeah. What was it like going back into the theater for the first time, like unlocking your dressing room door?
Dust? No, it wasn't. There wasn't dust everywhere. It was all clean. But honestly, I remember going on stage and the trees that are on the set. I remember thinking, you are an object that you've no idea what this world has just went through. You are a tree on stage. You've stood here for 2 years, have done nothing. No one has touched you. Nobody has walked past you. And that blew my mind. I remember thinking, wow, nothing has happened here for nearly 2 years. You know, it's like, and we've all just been getting on with life. And then, so I was like, we're back. And I touched the stage, I touched treaded the boards and looked out and cried. And it was like, I'll never underestimate or take theater for granted again.
No, it does make it all. You do realize that sort of massively, you know, it gives you an appreciation for so many things that you've taken for granted for so long. I think that's the thing, isn't it?
Because you're just always there, and the show must go on, and the show really couldn't have went on. There was nobody there to go on for. And you know that I opened the show in just pre-pandemic. I had done 10 shows, a Come From Away, and before the world stopped, and I just remember thinking that, like, I completely saw the show in a different light when I came back.
Yeah.
Really different.
I think everybody has done this, because I've been going back to all the shows again, having these like outer body experiences. I mean, you know, just what you appreciate, and just sitting in a theater again with people and getting that live connection, because every performance is different, because every audience is different. And those 2 show days for you are so different too. And it's something, you know, but
that's
at some
true.
point,
and you can feel something in the air this time. There's a pulse, there's an energy that people, you almost feel like this might be my last show again. You know, the audience are feeling this, and we're given more, I think, for every single show, rather than, you know, maybe giving 85, 90, because you have to preserve and reserve your energies, and you know, especially holding down 8 shows, you know. So but that's less so now. You're just like, you're giving your all whenever you can.
the theater is one of the safest places to be right now.
It
Would you
is,
just
it
talk
is.
to our audience watching and just how safe it is and just
It,
the precautions everyone's taking at
they
the
are
theater?
so the precautions are massive.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to be fully vaccinated. Even some places are wanting to see boosters, and they fully masked, and they're spreading people out when and where they can, and they're just completely masked the whole show, which is incredible. It's great, and it's what we need. We need to keep that rule going, and we're all masked backstage, and we take our masks off as soon as we enter the stage. That's it.
And how incredible the understudies are for all these shows.
I've now called them. They're now called our superhero swings. They're not just our super swings, our superhero swings now. They kept our show going for 5 days over after Christmas, and then of course they end up going down, and so that's why it's great. We're a tag team, and and there was like 7 or 8 standbys on stage, and there they were saving Broadway, and keeping it going. So forever grateful and thankful that they are as brilliant as they are. And like one show, couple of them were doing a different part from the matinee to the evening. Like, that's just mind blowing. I can barely remember my own lines, never mind somebody else's, and they can do this. They're so able.
Here's to the swings. They learn like 8 or 9 tracks, and sometimes they do 2 tracks in the same show or whatever, or one at matinee, like you say, one at night. For both of you, I mean, Guy, you're one of these incredible acting coaches, one of the most respected acting coaches in London. I mean, what joy does it give you to teach?
Oh gosh, every student I have, I think how lucky I am. I really come away from almost every session I have with people I get so much from it. I mean, I explore and I discover, definitely, and I've done that. I've worked with a young 16-year-old student who's just won the Shakespeare competition in London, in England, and just to see their enjoyment and to watch how they've changed. Is a great privilege. I mean, and to be paid for it as well, then you kind of go, well, that's really, really special.
Richard, he's doing himself down. I literally wouldn't have an audition without going through it with Guy and him directing me and getting a take on it, and tweaking it and making sure I've got everything right. I had a self-tape yesterday and he did the same, and I'm waiting on the call though.
So I was going to ask you, what have self-tapes been like for you? I mean, you have the finest director husband, like acting coach, like you've got it.
They're great most of the time, except for when you go on to your 30th take and you're going, oh my God.
It can be endless.
It can be endless, but I think we've got better at it, actually. I think just genuinely kind of knowing when to cut to the chase. I mean, it's a whole other skill. It's something that's emerged. It is a massive. I do feel for actors, that they've just been expected to move, and that they will get a call the night before saying, please do this for tomorrow, and you just go, really?
And here's 10 pages, and I need it by noon tomorrow.
I think it is. I think there are all sorts of things that are. I think that actors have had to put up with. The theatre people have put up with for a very long time, and I wish they didn't. I wish there was a fairer kind of. Anyway, but that said, it is what it is, and but yeah, we really. I mean, I have to say, most of the time we kind of enjoy them, really, and look at the opportunity, it's in them.
Yeah.
So
well, like I said, there's pros and cons. You can do it 900 times to be like, oh, I only did it twice.
Yeah.
Right. I did mine 8 times yesterday, so and it was the 8th one, and that's enough. It's enough.
Yeah.
Totally. It's like we're sending it in.
And send.
So finally, what are you the proudest of this John and Jen, for both of you?
Honestly, for me, it's making another show with my husband. I am so proud of that. I'm so proud that we work as well as we do as a team. And I think the fact that we put it on during a pandemic, in the midst of it, and got the audiences that we got, and it was just it started so small, and then all these opportunities opened up, and I'm proud of that rolling opportunity that has come from it. But really the fact that it started literally at home. Like we read the scripts together before we were in, and talking back and forth about it, and really discovering it together as just a couple. And, so the love was there as a couple, but also sharing that in a rehearsal room with other people, I love.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just proud of how I think it's, you know,
Evolved.
yeah, I'm just proud of how much. I think it's got so much, still got so much to say. If you know, to people now, and I think that to achieve something that's both meaningful and entertaining, that is for now somehow, that I'm terribly proud of that. And yes, I mean, it goes without saying, I'm proud of Rachel and working with her and so on. I just think it's a funny thing when you suddenly ask a question like, "What are you proud of?" I don't quite know, but there is one thing I think that I am very aware of these young producers, which are Michael and Leon, and I'm incredibly, I don't know whether proud is the right word, but they just worked so hard to make this show happen in a way. And I've worked with lots of producers, and I have some great producers that I've worked with over the years, but I just thought these two really went over and above and did it so well with such passion and care. And that's not always the way,
Yes,
you know. They really, and they gave us so much space as well as being very involved and interested in it. But yeah, I think that was really special. So yeah.
Well, you know, the arts have gotten everybody through not just this pandemic, but all through the years and through the centuries when there were wars and everything else. Everybody looked to the arts.
Yes.
And I just congratulate all of you for what you do, that everybody persevered through this time period. I mean, you know, the great thing about performers are you could make art anywhere, like starting out, oh, I'll make it in the garage. Oh, we'll do it in the, I'll turn my shoe closet into a sound booth now and I'll do an audio tape, you know. It's like, it doesn't matter where you make art or how you make it. It's what you all do.
I couldn't agree with Richard with you more, because it is what distinguishes us as well. What makes human beings special is that capacity to invent and create. It absolutely makes us rise above everything, you know, and it makes us, you know, so special. So totally.
Well, like I said, I have been back to see Come From Away, but of course I can't see anybody. We can't see anybody anymore. But the point is, hopefully that will all come back where you'll get to meet the fans again, because Come From Away has the most incredible fan base. I remember being there opening night and I met everybody, the real people.
Yes, the real
were there. It was a freezing day. They were in these beautiful outfits. Like, I was like, aren't you cold? They're like, no, we got dressed up. We flew in and we're here for an opening. There's nothing better than the Come From Away family.
The Newfoundlanders and the fans are just at a different level, and they are so proud of this show and of this story, than the flag that we're flying for that tiny little spot on the map, and what they did over those 5 days is they hold so dear and close to their heart. And they're, you know, the most, and they're very much remind me of the people from back home in Belfast in Ireland, and how friendly and proud they are, and they would just have you in their home, you know, anytime. And so I'm so delighted to be in this show at this time, really am.
Well, I've kissed the fish twice. And at the anniversary, I drank the drink. I drunk the drink.
Yeah, screech. Yeah.
Whatever, screech. What, right?
Yeah, screech, that's right. Yeah.
I have all of that, but like I said, I want to thank the two of you. Like I said, Rachel, I've known you for a long time. I think since the last ship and everything else. And Guy, this has been a real pleasure catching up with you today.
Likewise, you've been a great interviewer. Thanks very much.
Richard.
Well, I want to tell everybody, once again, Broadway HD, the leading streaming service for everything having to do with the theater, has brought the brand new digital capture of the worldwide premiere of Guy's updated, gorgeous production of Andrew Lippa and Tom Greenwald's musical John and Jen to your home, which of course stars Rachel Tucker and Louis Cornet. It's Cornet, right?
That's right.
You got it.
See, I said one name right, but I got your name, Guy. Listen, have the most glorious time here in New York. Hopefully, I'll see you two soon somewhere like at Joe Allen or somewhere.
Yes,
that would be lovely.
We can actually hug each other. Everybody, stay safe. Go to the theater. Watch John and Jen, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Richard. Bye-bye.
Richard, thank you so much.